The night was bright with laughter and music. The garden lights sparkled as guests clapped and cheered. Amara stood at the center of it all, her heart racing as Daniel knelt down on one knee, holding out a small box with a diamond ring. "Amara," he said softly, smiling up at her. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. The crowd erupted into applause. Music started again. Friends hugged her, relatives cheered, and Daniel stood to pull her into his arms. But in the middle of the celebration, one face remained cold. Gloria, Amara's mother. She sat at the head table, not smiling, not clapping. Her eyes followed every move, her expression sharp, unreadable. When the guests began to leave and the music softened, Gloria stood and called Amara over. Her voice was calm but firm. "Come. We need to talk." Amara followed her to a quiet corner of the hall. The air between them felt heavy. Gloria looked at her daughter with tired eyes. "You can't marry him," she said quietly. Amara froze. "What? Why would you say that?" Gloria's tone didn't change. "Because it's not right for you. You'll understand someday. This is for your own good." The words struck Amara like a slap. Her throat tightened. "Mama, that doesn't make sense. You've barely talked to him. You don't even know Daniel." Gloria's lips pressed together. "I know enough." "Then tell me." Amara's voice cracked. "What's wrong with him? What are you hiding?" Gloria turned away. "A mother protects her child," she said coldly, "even if the child hates her for it." Amara stared at her, shocked and hurt. Gloria walked off without another word, leaving Amara standing alone, surrounded by the fading sound of laughter from the hall. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. Her mind spun with confusion. Why would her mother say that? Daniel was kind, respectful, and honest. What could possibly make him not right for her? The next morning, Daniel came over worried. He tried to hold her hand, tried to comfort her. "Maybe she's just scared," he said softly. "She'll come around. Don't let this ruin what we have." But Amara's heart was restless. She stared out the window, her voice trembling. "She's never liked anyone I choose, but this time feels different." She looked afraid. Daniel hugged her gently, but she barely felt it. As she lay awake that night, one thought echoed in her mind, her mother's voice cold and certain. A mother protects her child, even if the child hates her for it. Voiceover, Amara. "My mother always said her rules saved me. But that night I realized she was protecting me from something she couldn't bear to tell me." Amara grew up under her mother Gloria's strict and suffocating control. From the time she was a little girl, Gloria decided everything for her: what she wore, who she talked to, and even how long she could stay outside. Amara wasn't allowed to attend sleepovers, go out with friends, or talk to boys. If she asked why, Gloria would always reply, "Because I know what's best for you." Her younger sister, Ruth, lived a completely different life. Ruth was bold and free. She went to parties, had friends, and made her own choices. Gloria often said Ruth was too wild, but Ruth didn't care. She laughed, stayed out late, and seemed to enjoy a kind of freedom that Amara could only dream of. When Amara was 12, her father, Carter Lewis, died suddenly. Gloria said it was a heart attack. Everyone in the neighborhood came to offer condolences, but after the burial, something strange happened. Gloria never spoke about him again. She took down his photos, packed away his belongings, and avoided every question Amara asked. "Mama, can we visit Daddy's family?" Amara once asked. Gloria's face turned cold. "There's no need. They're not part of our lives anymore." After that, Amara learned to stop asking. But deep inside, she always felt that something about her father's death, and the silence that followed, didn't feel right. Years passed, and Amara grew into a quiet, hard-working woman. She became a nurse, caring, dependable, and always putting others first. Patients loved her gentle touch and warm smile. But even as an adult, her mother's voice still echoed in her mind whenever she made decisions. Then she met Daniel. He was everything her life had been missing: kind, patient, and full of calm strength. He worked as a software engineer, and had a warm laugh that could ease Amara's worries in seconds. For the first time, she felt what love was supposed to feel like: peaceful and safe. But the one person she wished to be happy for her wasn't. Gloria never liked Daniel. Every time Amara mentioned his name, Gloria would frown or change the topic. When Daniel visited, She acted polite but distant, as if she were waiting for him to make a mistake. Their relationship grew tense. Every visit between mother and daughter ended in criticism. "You're getting too soft," Gloria would say. "You're letting that man control your emotions." Every phone call ended with guilt. "I gave up my life for you, and this is how you repay me? By choosing a man over your mother." Amara would hang up feeling small and helpless. She wanted to believe her mother loved her, but love was not supposed to feel like a cage. When Gloria refused to bless their engagement, Amara went to her sister for advice. Ruth listened, arms crossed, shaking her head. "You're still trying to make her happy, aren't you?" Ruth said, her tone sharp but not cruel. "She controls you because you let her." Amara looked down. Ruth's words cut deep because they were true. Her whole life had been built around pleasing her mother, following every rule, obeying every command. Even now, as a grown woman ready to marry, she still felt like that scared 12-year-old girl trying to earn her mother's approval. That night, she couldn't sleep. She replayed her mother's words from the engagement party again and again. "You can't marry him. It's not right for you." But what did not right even mean? Daniel was kind. He loved her. He respected her. Why couldn't her mother just be happy for her? A few days later, Daniel told her his parents wanted to meet Gloria. Amara hesitated. She could already imagine her mother's cold smile, her harsh tone, the uncomfortable silences that would fill the room. "Maybe it's too soon," Amara said softly. Daniel took her hand. "If we want to build a future together, our families have to meet. We'll be fine, I promise." Amara wanted to believe him. She nodded, though her stomach twisted in fear. When she called to tell her mother about the meeting, Gloria paused for a long time before replying. Her voice was calm, but it carried something dark beneath it. "Fine," she said at last. "Let them come. But don't expect me to pretend." Amara hung up the phone, her heart pounding. She didn't know why her mother was acting this way, but one thing was certain. The dinner ahead would change everything. The dinner was meant to bring two families together, but from the moment they sat down, the air felt heavy. Daniel's parents smiled warmly and tried to make polite conversation. His mother complimented the meal. His father asked about Amara's childhood. But Gloria barely looked up from her plate. Her face was cold. Her hands stayed still in her lap. She hadn't touched her food. Daniel tried to ease the tension. "Mom, Dad, this is Amara's mother, Gloria Lewis," he said gently. "She's been looking forward to meeting you." Gloria gave a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes. Welcome," she said, her tone flat. Everyone exchanged awkward glances. Amara forced a smile, trying to fill the silence. "Mama made the stew herself," she said softly, hoping to lighten the mood. But Gloria just nodded, avoiding eye contact. Halfway through the meal, Daniel's mother asked kindly, "Mrs. Lewis, Amara told us her father passed away when she was young. What was he like?" For a second, the whole table froze. Gloria's hand tightened around her fork. Then she spoke sharply. "Let's not discuss the past. The past is gone for a reason." The room went quiet. Daniel's mother looked embarrassed, murmuring, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean." Gloria cut her off. "It's fine." But her voice trembled slightly. Amara's cheeks burned. She wanted to sink into her chair. Daniel's father cleared his throat and changed the subject, but the damage was done. No one could relax after that. When the evening finally ended and Daniel's parents left, Amara and Daniel stood in the driveway. Gloria had already gone inside without saying goodbye. Daniel turned to Amara, his expression serious. "She's hiding something," he said quietly. "And it's not just about me." Amara looked at him, confused and hurt. "What are you talking about?" He shook his head. "You saw how she reacted when my mom mentioned your dad. That wasn't normal, Amara. She's scared of something." Amara sighed, trying to stay calm. "She's always been like this. Controlling. Secretive." "Maybe," Daniel said softly. "But this feels different." That night, Amara couldn't stop thinking about what he said. The image of her mother's tense face wouldn't leave her mind. Finally, unable to sleep, she grabbed her car keys and drove to her mother's house. When Gloria opened the door, she looked tired but unsurprised. "It's late, Amara. What are you doing here?" Amara stepped inside. "I need answers, Mama. What are you not telling me?" Gloria turned away, her voice cold. "You wouldn't understand." "Then make me understand." Amara shouted. You embarrass me in front of Daniel's family. You won't bless our marriage. You keep saying you're protecting me, but from what? For a moment, Gloria said nothing. Her shoulders shook slightly. Then her calm mask cracked. If you knew who that boy's father was, she said in a low, trembling voice, you'd never forgive me. Amara froze. What do you mean? But Gloria said nothing more. She looked away, her eyes filled with something between fear and shame. Amara felt her heart pounding in her chest. Mama, please, she begged. You're scaring me. Gloria whispered. It's better you don't know. That was the moment Amara broke. Tears filled her eyes. You can't keep doing this, she said, her voice shaking. I deserve to know the truth. Gloria didn't answer. Amara walked out, slamming the door behind her. She sat in her car for a long time, crying, trying to breathe. What could her mother possibly mean? Why mention Daniel's father? The next day, Amara went to see Ruth. Her sister was sitting on the couch, sipping tea, when Amara blurted everything out. The dinner, the argument, the strange warning about Daniel's father. Ruth's face darkened. I knew something was off, she said quietly. What do you mean? Amara asked. Ruth hesitated, then sighed. Years ago, I heard Mama arguing with our old neighbor Mrs. Ease. She was shouting something about Carter not being your real father. Amara's mouth went dry. What? Ruth nodded. I thought it was just gossip. But the way Mama acted last night, she paused. Maybe it's true. Amara's heart raced. Her whole world started to spin. For as long as she could remember, her mother's word had been law. But now, it felt like everything she'd ever known about herself, her father, even her own family, might have been a lie. Amara couldn't stop thinking about what her mother had said. The mystery around Daniel's father kept haunting her. She needed answers, real ones. So she decided to do something she knew her mother would never approve of. She secretly contacted Daniel's family. She told Daniel she wanted to drop by his parents' home to return something, but her real reason was different. She needed to learn more about his family, especially about his late father. Daniel's mother welcomed her warmly, offering her tea and snacks. They talked politely for a while, but Amara was distracted. Her eyes wandered to the family photos on the wall. Pictures of Daniel's father, Francis Brooks, smiling beside his wife and children. She felt a strange tightness in her chest. She had seen that face before, somewhere. But where? A moment later, Daniel's uncle entered the room. He was tall, with kind but sharp eyes. He shook Amara's hand, then paused. What did you say your mother's name was again? He asked. Amara smiled politely. Gloria Lewis. The uncle frowned slightly, thinking. After a long pause, he said quietly, you might want to ask her about a man named Francis Brooks. Amara's heart dropped. Francis Brooks? She repeated, barely able to speak. Yes, the uncle said, watching her closely. Ask her. She'll know why. Amara excused herself soon after, her hands shaking as she left the house. She drove straight to her mother's place, her mind spinning. Francis Brooks, Daniel's father. Why would Daniel's uncle tell her that? What connection could there possibly be? When Gloria opened the door, Amara didn't wait. Who is Francis Brooks? She demanded. Gloria froze. Her face went pale. Where did you hear that name? Daniel's uncle said it. Amara said angrily. He told me to ask you. What does he mean, Mama? Tell me the truth. Gloria turned away, clutching the edge of a chair. You shouldn't have gone there, she said quietly. You had no right. No right. Amara shouted. You've lied to me my whole life. I have every right to know the truth. Gloria spun around and slapped her across the face. The sound echoed through the house. I told you to leave it alone, she yelled, tears welling in her eyes. Everything I did was for your own good. Amara held her cheek, shocked and trembling. Then tell me what you did, she screamed back. Stop hiding behind those words. For a moment, Gloria just stared at her. Then her shoulders sagged. The anger drained from her face, replaced by sorrow. Her voice broke when she finally spoke. Your father, Carter, wasn't your real father, she whispered. Amara froze. What? Gloria's eyes filled with tears. Your biological father was Francis Brooks. The room spun around Amara. That's Daniel's father, she said slowly, her voice shaking. Mama, what are you saying? Gloria nodded weakly. Yes, he was Daniel's father too. Amara's knees gave way. She stumbled back, her face pale as all the pieces fell together. "Daniel is my brother?" she whispered, barely able to breathe. Gloria covered her face with her hands, sobbing. "I found out when you were 10. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't destroy both families. So I stayed silent." Amara felt like the air had been sucked out of her lungs. Her chest hurt. Her whole world, the man she loved, the life she imagined, shattered in one moment. "You lied to me," she whispered. "All this time, you let me fall in love with my own brother?" "I was trying to protect you," Gloria cried. "I thought if you never knew, you could move on. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect him to come back into your life." Amara shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "You didn't protect me, Mama. You destroyed me." Gloria reached for her, but Amara pulled away, collapsing onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. She felt sick. Every memory with Daniel, their first kiss, their laughter, their dreams, now felt poisoned. Her mother knelt beside her, crying too. "I'm sorry, Amare. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing." But Amara couldn't hear her anymore. Her world had gone silent. Voiceover, Amara. In one breath, my whole life became a lie. Every smile, every hug, every word of love, contaminated by a truth my mother buried. She sat on the cold floor, shaking, while her mother's sobs filled the room. Nothing made sense anymore. The love of her life was her blood. The man she wanted to marry was her brother. And the woman she trusted most had known it all along. Amara drove to Daniel's house in tears, her vision blurry as she gripped the steering wheel. Her heart pounded so hard she could barely breathe. When she reached his home, she jumped out of the car and ran to the door, her hands shaking as she knocked. Daniel opened the door, confused and worried. "Amara? What happened? You're scaring me." She stepped inside, tears streaming down her face. "Daniel, I found out something terrible." He guided her to the couch, holding her hands. "Tell me, what is it?" Her voice cracked as she spoke. "My mother told me that my real father isn't Carter Lewis. She said his name was Francis Brooks." Daniel froze. "Francis Brooks," he repeated slowly. "That's my dad's name." Amara nodded, trembling. "She said he was your father too." Daniel's face went pale. He leaned back, staring at her in disbelief. "That's impossible. My dad died 10 years ago. He was married to my mom his whole life." Amara covered her face, sobbing. "I don't know what's true anymore." But that's what she said. Silence filled the room. Both of them sat frozen, unable to look at each other. The air between them felt heavy with pain. Finally, Daniel whispered, "So, if she's telling the truth, that means..." Amara finished the sentence in a broken voice. "That means we're brother and sister." Daniel shook his head, his voice trembling. "No. I can't believe that. There has to be another explanation." He stood up suddenly, pacing across the room. "I'll take a DNA test. Both of us should. We need to know for sure." Amara nodded weakly. It was the only thing left to do. Days turned into weeks. They barely spoke, each living in quiet agony. When the results finally came, Daniel called Amara to meet him at a quiet park, the same one where they had shared their first kiss. She sat beside him on a bench, her hands cold. Daniel looked at her, holding an envelope. "I got the results." She swallowed hard. "And..." Daniel opened the paper with shaking hands, reading it slowly. Then he looked up at her with tears in his eyes, but this time, they were tears of shock, not pain. "We're not related," he said softly. "Amara, you're not my sister." Amara gasped, covering her mouth. "What?" "The DNA test proves it," Daniel said, handing her the paper. "There's no match between us." Amara stared at the paper, her mind spinning. Relief rushed through her, mixed with anger and confusion. If the test said they weren't siblings, then why had her mother lied? She drove straight to her mother's house that evening, storming through the door. Gloria was sitting on the couch, looking tired and pale. Amara threw the paper on the table. "Why did you lie to me?" she shouted. "The DNA test proves Daniel isn't my brother." Gloria's eyes filled with tears. "I lied," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Francis Brooks wasn't your father. Carter was." Amara stared at her in disbelief. "You lied to me? You let me believe I was in love with my own brother." Gloria broke down, sobbing. "I couldn't let you marry him, Amara. You don't understand. His father, Francis Brooks, ruined my life. Amara froze. What are you talking about? Gloria wiped her tears and began to speak, her voice filled with pain. Years ago, before I met Carter, I was young and naive. Francis and I had an affair. I didn't know he was married. When I found out, he left me humiliated, heartbroken, and alone. Everyone judged me. I promised myself that no man like him or his bloodline would ever come near my daughters. Amara listened, her heart breaking. Gloria continued. When I met Daniel, I saw Francis in him. The same eyes, the same smile. I panicked. I thought history was repeating itself. I couldn't bear the thought of you being hurt the way I was. So elite. I told you he was your brother. I thought that would end it. Amara's anger turned into deep sadness. Her voice trembled as she said, You destroyed my happiness to protect your pain. Gloria shook her head, crying harder. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to suffer the way I did. Amara looked at her mother, broken, crying, full of regret. And for the first time, she saw not the strong, controlling woman who ruled her life, but a fragile human being carrying years of hurt. But the pain was still too deep. You could have trusted me with the truth, Amara whispered. You didn't have to lie. Gloria reached out to touch her daughter's hand, but Amara pulled away. Tears streamed down both their faces. Amara stood up, whispering, You didn't protect me, Mama. You just made me afraid to love. Gloria collapsed on the couch, sobbing uncontrollably, whispering again and again, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Amara walked out of the house, her heart torn between anger and pity. The night air was cold, but it felt lighter than before. For the first time in her life, she wasn't trapped by her mother's lies. She was free to decide what love meant for herself. Amara decided to step back from both her mother and Daniel. She needed time to breathe, to understand who she was outside of all the pain, secrets, and lies. For the first time in her life, she chose herself. She moved into a small apartment across town, far from the noise of old memories. Days felt long and quiet at first, but in that silence she started to heal. She joined therapy and began writing about her feelings in a journal. Her therapist taught her how to let go of guilt, how to accept what she couldn't change, and how to rebuild from the inside out. Sometimes she cried during sessions. Sometimes she laughed at old memories. Slowly, the tightness in her chest began to ease. Ruth came to stay with her a few weeks later. Her younger sister, always strong and protective, became her biggest support. They would sit up late at night, drinking tea and talking honestly for the first time in years. I didn't know Mom hurt you this much, Ruth said one night. Amara nodded. She hurt both of us, Ruth. She just didn't know any other way to love. Living together helped them both heal. They shared stories of their childhood, the rules, the fear, the pressure, and realized how much they had both carried silently. Each conversation was like taking a weight off their hearts. Months passed. Then one evening, Amara received a call. It was from the hospital. Her mother was sick, seriously sick. At first, Amara didn't know if she should go. The pain was still fresh, but deep down, she knew she had to face this part too. So the next morning, she walked into the hospital room. Gloria looked frail and weak, lying in the bed with oxygen tubes and tired eyes. When she saw Amara, her lips trembled. You came, she whispered. Amara sat beside her, quiet. The anger had faded, replaced by something softer. Sadness, maybe, or understanding. Gloria's voice broke as she said, I wanted to protect you, Amara. I just didn't know how. Amara looked at her mother for a long moment, tears welling in her eyes. Then she said gently, You protected me from love itself. Gloria closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. Amara held her hand, not because everything was forgiven, but because she couldn't ignore the bond between them, mother and daughter, broken but still connected. A few weeks later, Gloria passed away quietly in her sleep. After the funeral, Amara received a sealed envelope with her mother's handwriting on it. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter. My dearest Amara, I know I caused you pain. I wanted to protect you from the world, but I only trapped you inside my fears. I grew up with no love, no safety. Control was the only way I knew how to care. But now I see love isn't control. It's freedom. Please don't let my mistakes define you. Live, love, forgive. By the time Amara finished reading, her tears had soaked the paper. She pressed the letter to her heart and whispered, I forgive you, Mama. Not because the pain had disappeared, but because she didn't want to carry it anymore. Weeks later, Amara walked through a quiet garden alone, feeling the wind brush her face. She thought about Daniel, how love had come and gone, leaving behind lessons instead of bitterness. She thought about her mother, about forgiveness, about how love could heal even after death. She smiled softly to herself. For the first time, she wasn't living under anyone's shadow. She wasn't the broken daughter, or the lost lover. She was simply Amara. Strong, free, ready to start again. Amara stands by her mother's grave, holding the old letter close to her chest. The morning wind moves gently through the trees, carrying the faint scent of flowers and wet earth. She reads her mother's name on the headstone and lets out a long, quiet breath. It has been 1 year since Gloria's death. A year of learning, forgiving, and starting again. The pain is still there, but it no longer controls her. As she places a small white rose on the grave, footsteps approach from behind. She turns and sees Daniel. He looks older, calmer, the same warmth in his eyes but softer now. He kneels and places his own bouquet of lilies beside hers. "I'm sorry for everything," Daniel says quietly. "None of it was your fault." Amara shakes her head gently. "And none of it was yours." For a moment, they just stand there, side by side in silence. The awkwardness of the past has faded. What remains is peace, the kind that comes after pain, after truth, after time. Daniel gives her a small smile. "You look happy." Amara nods. "I am. I finally am." They share one last look, not as lovers but as two people who survived something that could have destroyed them. Amara turns back to the grave, whispering softly, "She said it was for my own good." She smiles faintly, tears in her eyes. Maybe she was right, because losing everything made me find myself. As she walks away, the wind lifts the edge of the letter in her hand. Sunlight breaks through the clouds, and for the first time in a long while, Amara feels light, free from her mother's shadow, ready for the life ahead. Hi besties. Sparkling Heart, thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional stories. See you in the next one. Waving Hand Sparkles.